Hello and welcome to the 5 Do's and Don'ts of Marketing. This is a presentation that I've designed for nurses that are interested in legal nurse consulting or forensic nurse consulting and to help them be able to get their first client. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions and I'll make sure to all the questions that have come in when I've done these webinars, I will cover those at the end so that you don't feel like you're missing out on anything. But I think that one of the things that is a big challenge for nurses in the consulting world is getting that first attorney client. Once you have that first one, a lot of times the business builds from those referrals. And so the first one is really the biggest challenge. Also, I want to point out that a lot of nurses subcontract, and that's not what the purposes of this presentation is. It's how to get your first attorney client. And so some of the techniques that are used here are not going to work in subcontracting, and some of the ones that work in subcontracting don't work here. So just keep that in mind, that there's no cookie cutter for any of it. Even some of this stuff may not work for you. And, it's a matter of trying different things. And we're going to talk about that as we go through. But I did want to point out that this presentation is focused on attorney clients. So my name is Tara Godoy. I am the president and founder of Godoy Medical Forensics and Cadencia for Nurses. So Godoy Medical Forensics is my main forensic consulting firm. It is focused on criminal law, and I opened it in 2009. My clinical background is emergency and trauma, which is very well suited for forensic nursing. And you can see here that I didn't stay very long in the clinical world, and I am no longer clinically active. In civil legal nurse consulting, it's really important to be clinically active. In criminal, it's actually not as critical. I think you still do have an expiration date, so to speak, on criminal world. And that's one of the reasons why I am now starting to move away from case consulting and focusing more on mentoring and coaching other nurses like you guys. I was also recently admitted to UC Berkeley Haas School of Business for their prestigious executive MBA program, and I start that in July. I will continue to run Godoy Medical Forensics, where I currently have 16 nurses that work for me, and I'm planning on hiring another 2 before the end of this year. Actually, one of them will be starting soon. And I'm going to tell you my first client story a little later in the presentation, but just to give you an idea of my success, I have a business that grew 55% last year. That was 2021. We have over 1,200 clients. I get an average of 30 cases a month, and we have worked on over 2,000 cases. A big reason that I can employ so many nurses is that I have a marketing plan that works. I work on it constantly. I evaluate it constantly. And if you sign up for the course, the group coaching, the one-on-one mentoring, you're going to get that knowledge that I can offer you at different levels. And just a little bit more about me to give you guys a little bit of background. I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area. I am currently living in Oregon. My family just moved up there. Raise your hand if you love public speaking. Now, most people probably don't like public speaking, or they don't have enough experience, so they don't feel like they're good at public speaking. But any kind of public speaking that you do, whether it's presentations, whether it's testifying, whether it's speeches, anywhere where you're the center of attention, that's a lot of people are not going to, it just isn't the masses, right? But your first do is practice your public speaking skills. Get very used to public speaking. If you're consulting for your own attorney clients, you may or may not be asked to testify. And if you're not willing to testify, that's not a deal breaker, but make sure that your attorney knows it up front and I can guarantee you that you will lose cases if you're not willing to testify. So it's something where I really strongly encourage that if you want to be successful as a legal nurse or forensic nurse consultant, that you get good at public speaking and practice it. One of the ways to get out there and get a client is to offer to do presentations for attorneys. That is pretty much how I built my business, was all public speaking. Now, 13 years later, I am asked to travel all over the nation to do presentations. They fly me out there, they put me up. Usually I don't charge for my time, but because for me there's a benefit of going out there, but they do pay all of my expenses. And every time I present, I have at least one person that approaches me and asks if I will speak for their group. And so not only am I reaching out to attorneys for cases, but I'm also then, that drip thing where you put the water falls into the puddle and it filters out, right? I get more presentations and more cases. But you can also keep it local. If you're not really interested in traveling, you can do lunch and learns for the local bar association or attorney's offices. And as long as it's free, then most of them are going to be interested in having you come in. And if it's local to your area, then this is free marketing. All you're doing is spending your time. What's really important to realize when you're doing public speaking is that you are representing yourself with your public speaking skills. You're literally selling yourself. So don't be afraid to talk about how much you know and how smart you are and how good you are at what you do. You heard me in the beginning bragging about my business, bragging about my clients, bragging about my cases. By doing that, I'm trying to convince you that I am credible and that I know what I'm talking about. And that's what you need to do with the attorneys. You need to convince them that you know what you're talking about. So when you do your presentations, make sure you're showing them your expertise. For example, if you're an L&D nurse, you want to do a presentation on birth injuries. But also on the flip side, know your audience. If the office, do the research. If the office that you're presenting for doesn't do that kind of work, then don't offer that presentation. Have one that's more generic. Do research on the offices and market to the ones that you think are most likely to hire you and benefit from your knowledge. The other recommendation is Toastmasters. It's a really great resource. I believe it's completely free, or if not, it's a nominal fee. But it's a group where it is a national group, and they have online versions, and it's a group where you practice public speaking and get comfortable with it. Next, raise your hand if you've ever gotten an attorney client directly from a social media post. This is one area that I know has been successful for LNCs that are subcontracting, but my suggestion is you don't put a lot of time, money, or energy into social media posts. Now, I'm sure a lot of you that are out there doing all these social media posts are probably not going to like that, but everybody that I've talked to has, the ones that I've talked to that do regular social media posts, the feedback that I'm getting is that they get subcontracting work and not attorney clients. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be posting at all. I'm just saying that that's not how attorneys are going to find people. This is another audience thing. Imagine you're an attorney. Are you going to say, well, I have this case. It's a heart attack case, so I need to get an expert on my heart attack case. Let me go to Facebook and see who's on there. This is not online dating. So no, that's just not going to happen. What they will do is check you out once they have your name. They're going to use that system, the social media system, to vet you, to figure out whether or not you sound credible, to make sure that you're not posting that you're going out to bars every night, that kind of stuff. Keep in mind, I built my entire business without social media. Now, you'll see I do have a presence. I post my newsletter once a month. It's an infrequent social media presence, but I'm there so that they can vet me. I think I've gotten maybe 1 or 2 cases in 13 years on social media, so it is definitely not the main area. And even those 1 or 2 people, they knew me outside of that box. They were just contacting me through social media. The other thing is I got several responses when I posted about this on social media. I got several responses, and more than one person said that they were successful in posting on social media and making connections. But I looked every one of those people up, and they don't post regularly. They post maybe 1 to 2 times a month at most, and even those, they're usually just sharing other people's posts or commenting on other people's posts or doing something similar. It's not really true content posts. The people that I talk to that are posting daily, like I said, are only getting subcontracting cases. So maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but in my experience, it's a secondary method of connecting, a way for them to vet you where they've already heard your name somewhere else. But there's an exception to every rule. Raise your hand if you like socializing. Now, everybody has, if you're an introvert, if you're an extrovert, you have some level of socializing that you like to do. So your next do is to network. In many cases, it is about being in the right place at the right time, talking to the right person. By network, I don't mean talk to other nurses that are your competition, not unless you want to subcontract, I mean, talk to attorneys, contact the local bar and see what events you'd be permitted to attend. Talk to the people that you know that, talk to people, tell them what you're doing. And they say, oh, I know this attorney. Please, can you put me in touch with that person? You never know. It's, even that might be a right place, right time situation where you're mentioned to somebody, hey, a friend of mine is doing this. And they're like, actually, I'm looking for somebody. So if you know attorneys, talk to them too, even if they're not the right kind of attorney. It is actually a very small world out there in attorney land. So they may know somebody that they can refer you to. Other than that, take advantage of any situation where you are talking to somebody in the field, whether it's an attorney, paralegal, investigator, or even a secretary. You just never know who's going to take a liking to you and put you in touch with the right person. Take my case, for example. I decided to look into legal nurse consulting, and I thought I would do civil medical malpractice or personal injury work. Probably a lot of you guys had that same idea. When I first started, I was fortunate enough to find a mentor, and I was subcontracting for her. And while I was working for her, I got subpoenaed for a criminal case. I started talking to the investigator. I was friendly with him. And I told him, hey, I'm doing this legal nurse consulting thing. I can review records if you have any other cases. And out of that conversation, I got my first criminal case. And the rest, they say, is history, right? That attorney referred me to another. That one referred me to another, and so on and so forth. And my criminal business was built. Raise your hand if you're ready to make some money, right? Everybody here should have their hands up. So your next don't is don't work for free. A lot of people recommend that you offer a free service so that you get your foot in the door. I did that in the beginning. I think once or twice. I got 2 cases. I did it for free. I never got another case out of it. First of all, it makes you look desperate. Second of all, you look desperate and you lose the credibility that you just built just to get that first interview with the attorney. And plus, in my opinion, any attorney willing to make you work for free is a douchebag. So don't degrade yourself by working for free. Okay, who here has their CV ready? And by ready, I don't mean just creating it. You need a professional CV. Is it representing you in this field? So you definitely want to gear your CV towards legal nurse consulting. Don't send out the CV that you used to get your last hospital job. In fact, that probably isn't a CV, it's a resume. If that's the case, you definitely need to revamp your CV. It's going to represent your education. It's going to represent your testifying expertise. It's going to state your specialty areas. And those are really the first 3 things you can see here that I have on my CV. And that's because the attorneys are going to make a judgment call right off the bat. Did you go to good schools? Do you have degrees? Do you have any experience testifying? And what are your specialty areas? Now, don't stress out if you don't have the testifying expertise. That you can add later. So just skip that, leave it blank for now, or don't put anything on there. Just go right down to your specialty areas. The CV should be comprehensive. It should be thorough. These are not one-page resumes. This is literally you putting your professional life on one paper. Currently, mine is 10 pages long. So your next do is have a professional CV. It should be professional. It should be easy to read. One thing to consider is we do have a CV package where you can either send me your resume, we'll help you convert it into a CV, or you can send me your existing CV and I'll improve on it, focus it towards legal nurse consulting, make it pop, make it look more professional. And you don't have to, you don't have to purchase anything else. You can just buy the package all by itself if that's all you're interested in. And one other point I want to make is that I've heard that some LNCs suggest minimizing your CV. I wholeheartedly disagree with this. Someone told me it's to avoid getting attacked on credibility. My response to that is don't put anything that isn't credible on your CV. The other argument against minimizing is that the attorney is going to use it as a tool to qualify you as an expert in court. So you want to give them as much content as you can so that the judge accepts your testimony. Raise your hand if you like to beat your head against the wall. I don't think anybody's going to raise their hand for that one. So your next don't is don't keep doing something that isn't working. I'm all for trying new things and trying things that have worked for somebody else, but you want to give anything that you try a reasonable amount of time, evaluate it, and then if it isn't working, don't waste your time or money continuing to do that. One example is last year I paid for SEO, which is search engine optimization on my website. I had considered this as a potential marketing tactic for several years, but it is a very complicated thing that you have to pretty much hire somebody to do it and have any real results. And I finally decided I needed to try it to see if that was something that could bring in more clients. And that's when I learned that attorneys don't Google for experts. Same thing, they're not going on social media. They're also not going to Google for experts. They're not going to go on and say, oh, hey, Google, I need a wound care expert. It's just not the way they find their experts. So just, like I said, try something new, but make sure you evaluate the potential return on investment and the time commitment that you're giving. Raise your hand if you're confident in your nursing skills and knowledge. You should all be raising your hands at this point. My recommendation is if you want to get into legal or forensic nurse consulting, you should have at least 5 years of clinical experience. And if you have 5 years of clinical experience, I hope that you are confident in your skills. And confidence is the next do. This is really a big thing. Have you ever heard the phrase confidence sells? Yeah, absolutely. But you also want to have a personal approach. You don't want to come in too aggressive or too arrogant. But on the flip side, if you go into these conversations or the networking events or the presentations or whatever it is you're doing to try and market yourself out there, if you go in there with your tail between your legs, I can almost guarantee you that you will not get hired. They are looking for an expert, and experts have to be confident in their knowledge. They have to be ready to take anything coming at them. Be confident about what you don't know as well. Let's say you're talking to an attorney and they say, hey, have you ever been qualified to testify? But you've never testified before. That's okay. You can say no and say, no, but I'm fully prepared to do that and do it well. You don't necessarily have to have the right answers. You just need to be confident in the answers that you give. Raise your hand if you've had a booth at a conference. Whoever has had one, it doesn't necessarily have to be for legal nurse consulting either. Maybe you've done, you have another career prior to this, or I actually did a conference when I was a teenager because my dad had a product that he sold. So that was my first exposure to having an exhibitor booth. This picture here that we're seeing is back in the day, and it's really pretty old because my company name changed really early on. It used to be called University Park Legal Nurse Consulting. And when I realized that it didn't really accurately represent what I was doing because I was specializing in forensic nursing, I changed the company name to Bedoy Medical Forensics. Your next don't is don't get a booth at a conference. That's with, a caveat is if you're not speaking or if you're not established. So this is really a don't in the beginning phases because they're expensive, and I've heard from a lot of people that conference booths don't work. It worked really well for me, but this is another know your audience thing. Criminal attorneys are a different breed than civil attorneys. I had a lot of success having booths at conferences. I still go to conferences and exhibit, but most of the conferences I get booths at, I am one of the speakers. So my encouragement to you is that if you are able to get in on a conference and get a speaking presentation entered into their program, then it's worth it to you to spend the money for the booth. But there's very few that I go to now where I'm not a speaker, but I'm very well known in the criminal community. So the other side of that is if you're established and you have a reputation, and what'll happen is the people that know you will come up just to say hi to you. Other people will notice that they're at your booth, and it just lends to your credibility. No matter what you do, I will say that nobody is going to use you based off of one interaction. One of the reasons I've been successful is that I get every single person that comes by my booth to sign up for my newsletter. And then here's a shocker, I actually send them a useful newsletter. One of the things that's important, one of the most important things that you can do in any marketing tactic is to capture their information and work to establish that relationship. Because even if they don't have a case right at that moment, you want to be in the front of their mind, the top of their head, when they have that case in the future. The other thing is you might want to wait till you're established. Like I said, it can be really, really expensive. So if you already have a client or two, or you're able to get in as a speaker, that's really where the conference booths come in. So that's why it's a don't. It's a don't right now. Wait for later. But if you're a speaker and you have a booth, if you do get in as a speaker, for sure get a booth, because then when you're up there doing your presentation, you can say, hey, come see me at my booth, and it gives them the opportunity to come talk to you after they've seen how much you know and how you're such an expert in your field. Raise your hand if you're ready to be creative. Creativity and marketing actually go hand in hand. Your next do is follow-up. Now wait a second, how does creativity work there? You need to be creative in your follow-ups. Don't just keep sending them the same email over and over and over again. You do want to email them, call them, text them, message them, however you want to get a hold of them over and over again. So you're going to follow up, and then you're going to follow up again, and then you're going to follow up again. Until they literally say, do not contact me again, keep following up. And this can be really hard for some of us. Trust me, it was hard for me in the beginning. But it is a tried and true method. So let's give you some examples. What would you write in your follow-up? So the first time you follow up, it can be really easy. Just say, hey, it was really a pleasure meeting you last week. Let me know if, if you have any cases I can help you on. I want to make sure you have my contact information, something along those lines. And then in a couple of weeks, again, you might want to give them a tip of some kind, something that they can use in their practice. Send them an article, send them a link. Even if it's just something that you know off the top of your head, send them some information. And then a couple weeks after that, you touch base, and maybe this time you say, hey, do you have any cases right now? So all of these, so these are just examples, and, timing is really up to you. It takes a lot of work in keeping track of emailing people. In my practice, I follow up at least once a month. And it really depends on, what you have. Sometimes you can do it more often. Like, if you come across an article, don't wait, go ahead and send it. That doesn't hurt. And then I have exciting news. As a free gift to you, you can go to my website at CredenciaForNurses.com. And if you give it just a second, there will be a pop-up, and it'll prompt you to put in your name and email. And I have 10 email templates for you. And these are the exact templates that I'm still using today. So they are used and working, and have helped me build my business. So are you ready to hang in there? Raise your hand if you're ready to hang in there, because this is probably the most important thing that goes. If there's one tip that is the most important, I would say don't give up. You have to keep at it. It's not going to drop in your lap tomorrow. It might drop in your lap the day after that or the day after that, but no matter what, the minute you quit, it definitely will not drop in your lap. You have to be persistent. You have to be positive. Try new things. Quit doing things that aren't working. You have to follow up, and follow up again. There's definitely a lot of nurses out there trying to do what you do, and I know that can make it really frustrating because you're going to compare yourself to them. It's really hard not to. But also realize that most of them probably are not as successful as they are making themselves out to be. You have to set yourself apart. You have to know your audience. You have to know your specialty. And most of all, you have to be confident and don't give up. Remember, I told you I had a mentor when I first started. She told me I'd never make it in the criminal world. She said you'd have to have way too many clients to sustain that business. So just remember that there's going to be people out there that tell you, no, you can't do it, that there's this, that, the other thing that will prevent you from being successful. I do believe that where there's a will, there's a way, and you have the ability to fight past those barriers. But at the same time, it doesn't hurt to have someone there to help you, or someone there to support you and tell you that you're doing a good job. Just reassuring you, you can do this. And that's what my program is designed to do.
Have you ever thought about using your clinical experience to become a legal nurse consultant? My name is Tara Godoy, and I am the owner and founder of Credencia for Nurses, a mentoring and coaching program for nurses just like you that want to become legal nurse consultants. You're here because you're curious about the legal field and your role as a nurse, but you don't know where to start, and that's where we come in. The word Credencia means a safe place. It's a place from which one's strength of character is drawn, and a place where you can feel your most authentic self. I wanted to create a place where you can learn not just from me, not just from the experts that I hire, but also from your colleagues, and to build each other up and support each other. And whether you're interested in forensic nursing or civil legal nurse consulting, or both, we have a program designed for you. For those of you that want to start a business, we can help you with that too. There's a lot of exciting reasons to become a legal nurse consultant. You can increase your income, you can leave the setting, you can work from home, you have a flexible schedule. All of these are options. When you join us inside Cadencia, there's going to be so many different exciting ways for you to learn. There's going to be videos, there's going to be group sessions, there's going to be mentoring, and there's going to be one-on-one coaching with me. I'm also hiring a lot of nurses that have years of field experience doing what you want to do. My promise to you is to provide a safe environment where you can be your most authentic self and where you feel supported while you embark on this exciting new career path. From the time I was in high school, I was interested in the law, but I actually didn't apply to law school until after I had been a nurse already for 5 years. I took a course and found a mentor, and it was the mentor that made all the difference. Which is why I've created this online program so that I can reach that many more nurses such as yourself, wherever you are in the world. By now, hopefully I've convinced you that Cadencia for Nurses is the right place for you. But if you have any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch because we're here to support you. See you on the inside.
So, as you can see in the video, I really wanted to create a program where people can get mentored at any stage in their legal nurse consulting career path and create a program that makes people feel like it's a community environment. So when I created Cadencia for Nurses, and I've made myself available for one-to-one mentoring outside my own business, really for the first time in this format. I did have a shadowing program, but it cost way too much money, and I really wanted to be able to reach more people, give back to the nursing community, and make it a little bit more affordable. But maybe you haven't ever heard of me before. Well, that's because I market to attorneys, not nurses. But why should you choose me? Because I have over 1,200 clients. I have over 2,000 cases. I myself have testified over 80 times. My newsletter has over 9,000 subscribers. I've been in business for 13 years. I have 16 nurses and 3 full-time office staff that run my business and help me run my business. Most importantly, I built a business where nurses didn't exist before. They were only in the sexual assault arena for the most part. I only in the last maybe 5 years am I finally starting to see other nurses that are doing consulting in criminal cases outside of the sexual assault area. So I completely had to change the mindset of the criminal world, of the criminal attorneys, to teach them that nurses, not just doctors, but nurses can testify, and they can testify outside of those same cases and do so successfully. So for the people that are first getting started, there's the Go at Your Own Pace modules, which is 3 for 1, 3 modules for the price of 1. We have the Criminal Forensic Nursing module that's live already. The Civil Legal Nurse Consulting is launching soon. Hopefully within the next couple weeks, we'll have that up and running. And then the business marketing, as soon as that one's up and running, I'm going to start building the business and marketing one. The business and marketing one, this is like a free preview of that business module because this webinar will be in there, or this presentation will be in there, but it'll go into more, the modules will go into greater detail, and you'll have better tools, more tools to work with. The community is open for everybody in the modules or the group coaching, and we're building that out to be a supportive and educational and a networking hub. And then we're going to progress to group coaching, which is coming soon. What we're going to do there is we're going to dive deeper into the topics with some of the mentors that have agreed to come over from Godoy Medical Forensics and work with you all. On top of that, I'm also going to have guest speakers. I've already talked to a friend of mine that's a forensic pathologist. I have toxicologists that I think will be interested in coming in and doing it. I have attorney clients that are friends of mine that are willing to come in and help. And I have other marketing experts that I'm going to bring in to help you guys in that area. So topics might include something like testimony or CV review or forensic nursing case topics, civil nursing case topics. A lot of it will be taking the content from the Go at Your Own Pace modules and turning it into a 1-hour in-depth training. And then finally, there's one-on-one mentoring that is also live. It's already on the website, so you can block that time with me right away. You don't have to wait. And it's always me on the one-to-one session. So that's when you get, really the specialized, in-depth, you have this particular issue and I can help walk you through it. There's going to be other specialty packages that are available. Right now, we have the CV packages that are up and running. And so, like I mentioned before, we can convert your resume to a CV, or we can revamp the existing CV to make it pop. And then we're going to be adding on case review packages. So there's a few sample cases that are included in the modules. And then these will be more specialty areas. So like right now, I'm trying to put together 3 DUI ones so that you have different aspects of DUI cases if you want to do the forensic nursing component. So if you've already taken an LNC course, or if you have subcontracting experience, or even if you have another attorney, if you already have your own attorney clients, but you want to build your business, there is something there for everyone. If you're on this webinar, it means you want to grow your business, get more clients, and be more successful, and I can totally help you with that. Very exciting is we have this coupon code. There are definitely a lot of other programs out there, and they all offer something different. I think Carencia, to my knowledge, is the only one that offers the training in forensics. And it has a different format than the other one. It has a more supportive environment. And so I really encourage you to do your research to find out which program works the best for you. If you decide that Carencia, which of course I hope you decide that Carencia is the one for you, and so I'm going to provide you here with a coupon code. Today we're offering just $150 off for any of the products that are live right now. The coupon code is going to expire in 48 hours, so on June 3rd. So just to give you an idea, for the Go at Your Own Pace modules, it's 2 payments of $749. You have about a month to complete that second payment. The one-to-one mentoring comes as low as $260 an hour, depending on how many you buy in a package. So if so that $150 off is definitely a pretty significant discount off of any of these packages, including the CV package. And bonus, on top of that, we're going to be emailing you with the affiliate program so that every time you refer somebody to Carencia, you get another $50 off once they sign up. So you can definitely get quite a few discounts if you sign up. And you don't actually have to sign up for Carencia to be part of the affiliate program. If you refer people and they sign up, you still get that $50. Okay, so now time for questions. And but I want to point out that everything on social media will be generalized. So for that personalized experience, you want to join Carencia in some manner, whether it's the modules, whether it's group coaching, whether it's one-to-one mentoring. But I want to leave these up here for you so that you can find us on social media and sign up for our newsletter. Make sure that you don't miss out on anything, because with the newsletter, that's where you're going to get discounts, product announcements. We're going to announce that we've launched the civil one as soon as that one's out, that kind of stuff. When the group coaching goes live, that one will be announced through our newsletter. So make sure you connect with us on either Facebook or LinkedIn. We're on Instagram as well, but we're more active on Facebook and LinkedIn. Those are the 2 that we recommend. And again, sign up for our newsletter. Okay, so some of the questions that we got in the webinar is, what is the average cost an LNC would charge for the time? And what I've said is usually 100 to 125 an hour as a starting point is a good spot. We at Godoy Medical Forensics charge $250 an hour, but we are well established and experienced, and it also depends on locations, and we even discount for certain areas that are lower cost of living. Another question is, based on your response rate from your marketing efforts, have you identified any trends in the types of firms that have the most interest or tend to seek out or engage legal nurse consultants? And I would say that larger firms are more likely to hire an in-house legal nurse consultant. Smaller ones are more likely to outsource. I don't know the balance between defense and plaintiff, but I also think that defense that work with insurance companies are going to be in-house, or the insurance company themselves will have someone in-house. Sharing a specific marketing strategy with the group and frequency, marketing methods. Definitely download the template from our website. I do contact my clients at least once a month, and I think you could try anything a few times, and if it works for you, keep doing it. Some things you have to do more than a few times, such as social media. It may take you years of posting to get one client. I think cold calls are probably unlikely to be successful. I've done some drop-in marketing where I've left a package, but I didn't really get a lot of success there, but I know that other people Sample scripts for emails and calls. That's the template for emails. For calls, I don't have a script, but I would definitely suggest targeting the front end staff for calls and drop-ins. Common objections and how to overcome. I don't get any objections anymore, and so I'm always happy to hear, like, if you're getting one, I'm happy to try and help you through that. Everybody wants to know if I'm hiring, and we are not hiring at Godoy Medical Forensics right now. I hired 8 nurses this year, and so I'm done for this year. When I do hire, I only hire nurses that have at least 5 years of emergency department and trauma experience and have at least a bachelor's degree. And so that led to another question of, is it worth it if I don't have that experience and I want to do the forensic stuff? And absolutely, you can take. There are certain cases in the criminal world that you can take with any kind of medical background, such as like DUI. And I also want to point out that there are conferences that are specifically for DUI attorneys. And so it's almost an easier marketing strategy because you're going to be able to target these attorneys. And since they do a lot of DUI cases, they're going to need your help on a lot of their cases. And you can also do additional training for specialty cases like sexual assault or strangulation.